Hello everyone and welcome back to Prestige Reef. Today I'm going to answer one of the questions which I get asked more than most. How have I mixed multiple tangs in one tank? Before we get to that however, a couple of weeks ago I pointed out to you that the majority of my viewers are lurking in the background and haven't subscribed to the channel. Thanks to many of you, I then had an influx of new subscribers, and as you can see, the numbers have actually changed slightly, but there's still a long way to go. So never sit there thinking that you don't actually create an impact, because you do. The reason it makes a big difference is because if YouTube sees that my channel is popular, it then starts sharing it with more people. I try my best to help educate people to care for the creatures that we all love, and the more people that YouTube shows my videos to, the more people who hopefully will have success in the hobby. In turn, that helps to protect these species, so why not help out and click that subscribe button to see if we can continue to make a difference. Right, let's get back to today's topic. The majority of the information you find on Tangs states that you should only keep one per tank. This is absolutely good advice for beginners who want to give themselves the easiest time as they enter the hobby. Having said that, I believe this information is now very outdated, especially if you follow the steps I'm about to discuss. Before I start however, I'd like to put in a little disclaimer before the Tang police turn up. This isn't me encouraging you to mix tangs. What most people believe is technically correct. There is no harm in keeping just one tang in a tank, and if you're like me and have a large enough tank and you want to keep more than one, here are some steps which you can take to improve your chance of success. Let's start with the basics. What you need is a reasonably large tank, good filtration, an aquascape which allows for multiple hiding places, and a good nutritious diet. I know for a fact a 400 litre tank, which is approximately 105 US gallons, works well, as this was my first tank. I'm sure many people will have gotten away with smaller, however I've never tested it on a smaller tank myself. Once you've ticked that box, it mainly comes down to stocking density, how they're introduced, tang selection, and appropriate feeding. Let's start with stocking density. If you plan to add one yellow and one purple tang, the aggression is very much 1 versus 1, especially if there's no size difference. Whereas if you add 3 yellow tangs and 2 purple tangs, it's 5 versus 5 and the aggression is dispersed more evenly. Eventually a hierarchy is formed and they stop chasing each other, each knowing their right position in the group. That hierarchy will change over time as some fish will grow faster than others. Colin, myself in Tang, was just under 2 inches when he entered the tank, and was bullied by everyone for about a week. He then, over the course of 2 years, grew to over a foot, and became the dominant fish himself. As he grew, the social hierarchy changed with him as he competed for his next position. In my experience, when it comes to stocking density, the more tangs you have, the better. The next factor is how they're introduced. This is absolutely key. Although the ideal situation is to add all the tangs at the same time when they're juveniles, for most of us this isn't a realistic option, and may cause an issue with your filtration system from a sudden large bioload increase. For those of you like me that want to add them one at a time, I like to introduce all new tangs in complete darkness with a red light. Most fish can't see red light, therefore I change the LEDs to just red and have them on a very low setting. I can then see them, but they can't see me. And more importantly, they can't see each other. If you don't have LED lights, you can always turn your lights off and purchase a red LED torch for the same effect at a low cost. Adding a new fish in the middle of the day when the other fish are active is asking for a potential war. However, if you do it in the middle of the night when everyone else is asleep, sometimes they wake up and don't even appear to have noticed a new tank mate. I use this method all the time, and although sometimes there is aggression the next morning, it's never as much as adding them directly to the tank in the middle of the day. If adding them in the day is the only option you have, adding a mirror to the side of the tank is a good tip to try to distract the other tanks from the new addition. Even a picture will work sometimes, they aren't the brightest fish. Another good idea is an acclimation box where the fish can get used to seeing each other behind the safety of a piece of plastic. At first the other fish will show a lot of interest, but gradually this will get less and less. The next point is tang selection. When it comes to tang selection, vampire and bristletoothes appear to be the most tolerant members of the family, with fully grown sohole and clown tangs known to be the worst offenders. These two sometimes will thuggishly attack not just Tangs but anything new you add to the tank. The Tang family has various branches, and it's best to mix different types of Tangs. For example, a Clown Tang and a Soho Tang are both Acanthurus Tangs, and look very similar. Adding these together will likely start an all-out war, which usually only ends with the death of one of them. But a Soho and a Yellow Tang are very different, and are more likely to get on. That's not to say you can't keep multiple yellows together, it's just a higher potential for aggression. I don't expect you to know the scientific names of all your fish. You have to be a particular type of weirdo to want to know that. However, you can always Google their scientific names while you're in the shop. Most of us have smartphones these days, so we don't really have an excuse anymore not doing our research. Two fish whose scientific names both start with the same word should be avoided for increased success. For example, the Zebrasoma desjardini, or Desjardini sailfin tang, and the Zebrasoma rostratum, or black tang. The final point which I believe passionately about is feeding. A well-fed fish has nothing to worry about, and I like to feed a variety of foods several times a day, including frozen, flake, pellet, and nori to keep them all fat, healthy, and happy. Nori is especially important for tangs and is the easiest way to make sure you fulfill their natural algae-based diet. Failure to do this can cause all sorts of health issues. These points will greatly improve your chance of success, but there's still no guarantee that you'll still have peace. What you can't allow for is the individual personality of each fish, and some fish are just bastards. The most important thing I would like to point out to you is only try to mix tangs if you're willing to take the time and effort to catch a fish which is being heavily bullied. It's our responsibility as fish keepers to do the right thing when required, and more often than not, it's not always the easiest thing to do. It's incredibly soul destroying to add a new fish only to see it relentlessly bullied and then die, and it's very unfair on the fish for you to let it get to that stage and do nothing. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions. Why not share your experience with mixing tangs? If you did enjoy it, click that like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good week and I'll see you next time. As always, I just want to say a massive thank you to the people that support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of what you do with regards to keeping this channel going. You've all been brilliant. Thank you.